Pharmacy Friends brings industry experts to the same table to talk about what is happening in pharmacy today, what is coming next, and most importantly, what it means to you. We explore and share pharmacy trends stemming from the evolving healthcare market, where advancements, policy changes, and technology development make a difference.
Introducing these young populations to these healthcare careers, and whether it be, not just a doctor, but there's so many phenomenal careers in healthcare, nursing, medical aides, even administration, but really opening their eyes.
We created that foundation then in 2020, and since then we have granted funds to over 29 organizations, over $450,000.
At Prime, we strive to provide the same care we would want for our loved ones. This purpose extends beyond our employees to encompass our members, clients, and communities. In today's Power of People edition of Pharmacy Friends, we talk about how our employees' help goes beyond our work in healthcare. On any given day, Prime's people can be found serving others in the communities where we live and work. Carrie Florian, Vice President, Total Rewards, talks about Prime's community giving program, Prime Cares, which brings employees together to donate, volunteer, and participate in community events. She also talks about working with our communities to address inequality and injustice in all its manifestations, particularly racism, poverty, health, and hunger, through the Prime Together Foundation. And today's guest, Becky DeRosia, Senior Development Officer at the Hennepin Healthcare Foundation, talks about their great purpose of healing and enriching life in our community, and how organizations like the Prime Together Foundation are instrumental in that work. Let's dig into how Prime and our community partners are making a difference through many voices and one purpose. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pharmacy Friends, a Power of the People edition. Today, I am thrilled to be here for part 2 of our podcast series talking about corporate social responsibility. I have 2 guests with me today. Carrie Florian, who's Vice President, Total Rewards at Prime. Carrie has been very involved in Prime's community giving efforts here for years, and she's going to give us an overview of kind of how we participate in our communities, our programs, the way our employees are able to get involved, and even talk about her own personal experiences with working with some of the organizations that we partner with here at Prime. I'm also pleased to have Becky DeRosia with us today. Becky is a Senior Development Officer at the Hennepin Healthcare Foundation. Becky has been with Hennepin Healthcare for many years, working to connect their partners who are like-minded to find ways to connect with their purpose to heal and enrich life in the community. Hennepin Healthcare was one of the recipients of a grant from our Prime Together Foundation. So we're excited to bring her into this conversation to hear more about where those grants go and the good that we're doing in the community through partnership with places like Hennepin Healthcare. So Carrie, you and I have a long history of working together on Prime Cares and all of the community giving. So it's really nice to have you as part of this conversation.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for having us today.
No problem. Let's start with this. Carrie, can you give us just kind of a high-level overview of Prime Cares and how we think about community giving here at Prime?
Thanks, Laura. The Prime Cares is our corporate giving program at Prime, and we have lots of different elements in the program. First of all, we do a matching gifts program where Prime will match funds that employees give to different organizations, and they also will give funds when employees volunteer at organizations or participate in different events. Additionally, the Prime Cares program provides time for employees to volunteer during their work time. And then there is charity partners, and those organizations are where we have a foundation as one of the partners, the Prime Together Foundation, as well as 5 other organizations. And those organizations currently are the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, the Children's Miracle Network, and the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
I love that when we think about our charity partners, Carrie, it's both how we can support them financially and have volunteer opportunities with them. I see lots and lots of opportunities for people to do things like walks and bike rides and ways to support them both with our time and with our financial contributions. It's really a great setup.
Yeah, we love to get our employees love to get involved in all sorts of different ways, and it's been a great way to see employees come together and make a difference in the community.
Can you share a little bit more about the Prime Together Foundation? I know you said that that's one of the charity partners that we often work with, but this one's a little special in that it's something that is a little more homegrown and something that's very close to our hearts and was created here at Prime.
The foundation is actually created back in 2020, and it was created with a mission to, work together with our communities and to address inequality and injustice, particularly in the areas of racism, poverty, health, and hunger. And back in 2020, if you recall, that is when the murder of George Floyd occurred, and there was a lot of conversation occurring across Prime. Employees and leaders were really just overwhelmed talking about wanting to do something in the community. And we are headquartered in Minnesota, and that probably drove a lot of that conversation, although nationally it sparked a lot of conversation. And the employees really wanted to do something that wasn't just, something that happened right then in 2020. They wanted to do something that would have a lasting impact. And that's where the idea of a foundation was created. And we created that foundation then in 2020. And since then, we have granted funds to over 29 organizations, over $450,000.
Organizations that they feel align with the mission of the foundation. So it's really got both, a lot of ability for employees to stay involved with that mission and make sure that it's going to organizations that they care about.
Yeah, it's all employee driven. The board is employees, the nominations are employees. Everything is driven by what the employees think will help to move that mission forward. Exactly.
Well, that's a perfect transition to bring Becky into this conversation here. So as I said, Becky is a part of Hennepin Healthcare Foundation, and they've been a recipient of grants from the Prime Together Foundation a couple of times. Isn't that right, Becky?
That is true. We have been very fortunate to be recipient for 3 years now.
That's awesome. Let's start by, can you share a little bit about what your Hennepin Health Foundation is and how it's connected to some other organizations here in the Twin Cities?
Of course. And I would like to first, Laura and Carrie, just thank Prime Together Foundation for their generous gifts to the Hennepin Healthcare Foundation. We're just so honored to partner with you on programs that support our patients. But yes, so I just wanted to touch base too for those listeners who may not be familiar with Hennepin Healthcare or are out of the state of Minnesota. We're a hospital system, and we have our downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota hospital, as well as a network of 6 community clinics across Hennepin County. And I work specifically within the foundation, which in our main role is to raise funds through generous donors like Prime Together Foundation to support hospital programs and projects. And what's great about the Prime Together Foundation is they have brought together organizations like Hennepin Healthcare and other local organizations to kind of partner together. And we had one specific organization that we worked together with here locally to do kind of snack packs for the homeless population in Minneapolis. And we were introduced kind of through Prime Together Foundation. So it was a great connection, a great partnership, a way for us to really connect and support the community.
It's like a web of care and kindness when you get the right people together with the right vision and mission and the ability to do some things to impact the communities where we live. It's a great thing.
Exactly.
Well, can you talk specifically about some of the programs that you've been able to fund with the grants that have come from the Prime Together Foundation?
Of course. Our first grants award from the Prime Together Foundation went to our Muslim spiritual care program. At Hennepin Healthcare, we have a high population of our patients that are of the Muslim faith, and we didn't have a spiritual care provider that really was dedicated to that patient population. We had, some more on the Christian side, but we knew there was a known gap. So we really wanted to launch that program. And with Prime Together Foundation's gift, we were able to do that. The spiritual care providers really provide care and comfort to families during some of their darkest, toughest times. They're the liaison kind of between the family and the clinical team. And they can even be, especially with the Muslim faith, who are many times are recent immigrants to Minnesota, they can really provide that calm, comfortable environment. So with Prime Together Foundation's grants, we were able to hire 2 contract Muslim spiritual care providers to be on site here for our patients with that faith. So that was our first gift. And our second gift from Prime Together Foundation went to support our Talent Garden program, which is a very unique health equity program on campus, and the goal is really to introduce young people of color to high quality healthcare careers through a series of events and internships on our campus. We really open the doors to those young people who may not otherwise know about all the phenomenal careers in healthcare. And also, we've health outcomes. There's a lot of data behind race concordance being very important in terms of better health outcomes. So if you see someone of your ethnicity treating you, you really, your health outcomes just are much better. So we're trying to really create that pipeline here at Hennepin Healthcare. And through generous donors like Prime Together Foundation, we've launched the Talent Garden program. So since 2021, we've had 40 interns on our campus in the summer, and we've hosted 8 youth summits to really introduce those young kids to healthcare careers.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, it's a phenomenal program that was, came out of our health equity department, and we are just so proud and thankful to our generous donors. And our final gift just last year from the foundation went to support our Safe Sleep program here at Hennepin. We are a Safe Sleep certified hospital, which means that we provide extensive education around independent sleep for newborns away from parents. And if it is identified after labor and delivery that a patient family doesn't have a separate sleeping environment for their infant, we will provide them with a pack and play. So last year's gift from Prime Together Foundation went to purchase pack and plays for families that identify that they don't have one or don't have a crib or a bassinet. We really want to, many families, especially immigrant families, they will co-sleep, and that's just the norm. So really the education around safe sleep environments and providing them with a safe sleep environment has been extremely important.
I love all of those, but one thing strikes me about, the mission of each of those is really kind of aligned with the mission that we have here at Prime, which is to provide the same kind of care we'd want for your loved ones, for our loved ones. And, that's a lot of the same kinds of things that you're trying to do with the programs that you're supporting through the donations of many people, including Prime Together Foundation.
Thrilled to partner.
Yeah. Do you have any other stories, and I'm not sure if there's an answer to this question about, specific people who've benefited from these? You've kind of shared already, the impact that you've had, especially with the Safe Sleep program. Anything else pop to mind?
Yes, and I can certainly share, we have so many success stories about our Talent Garden program. We have a young woman named Fatima who was one of our 2023 interns. So she spent 6 weeks on our campus last summer, shadowing in various departments. And she is from Matamita High School, graduated this spring. And she is a finalist for the MD programs at both the University of Minnesota and Rutgers. So which means is upon acceptance into either program, she is guaranteed a spot in that university's medical school upon successful completion of her undergrad degree. So Fatima, we really, introducing these young populations to these healthcare careers, and whether it be, not just a doctor, but there's so many phenomenal careers in healthcare, nursing, medical aides, even administration, but really opening their eyes and creating that pipe and giving these kids, an opportunity to learn more about these careers. And we've seen so much success with these kids going on to college and then actually focusing on a medical career.
Oh, I love that. That's a great story. Hooray for Fatima.
Yes.
Gary, I want to transition back over to you to talk a little bit more about the volunteerism aspect that we touched on a little bit earlier through Prime Cares. There's been a lot of organized activities and things that Prime has done, and I wonder if you can speak a little bit to some of the volunteerism efforts that you've been a part of or seen that have been really impactful to you.
Sure. There has been many things that have really been impactful. A few stories that come to mind. One would be early on in my time at Prime, we did Habitat for Humanity for several years. And when we did that, Prime employees would spend a day working on building a house, and we would have several days and weeks where we would work on the same house. And there was a year where I was given the opportunity to actually go to the day of providing the family the keys to their house when that house was completed. And it was really just an amazing opportunity to see really the impact of all of the volunteer efforts that the Prime employees had made on this family, and how it was changing this family's life forever to really be able to have that safe home, to be able to build their lives in that home, and to hear them talk about how much it was going to make their lives so much better. And I was so proud of all the work that the Prime employees had done to help this family really have that life-changing experience. And so it's just kind of that culmination and really, again, seeing that impact of the volunteerism. I got to see the employees, work together, and that teamwork of doing something different that they don't normally do, and then seeing the impact at the end of the day was just amazing. Similarly, another memory that comes to mind is the Heart Walk that we as a company participate in each year. And every year is different and special at these different events. But there was one year where we had an entire section at Target Field filled with Prime employees. And, it's early in the morning, but everybody was just so excited to be there. And we had the just spirit of everybody being so happy with all the money they'd fundraised and really just making an impact and feeling like they were really making a difference to really towards heart disease, that they were just so proud of themselves and proud of the company in a different way than you would see them every day at work.
I think I was at that Heart Walk in my Prime branded shirt, and I remember the feelings in the stands with hundreds and hundreds of colleagues and employees and friends, and the good that we could all do together. It was a great feeling.
Yeah, and everybody, just everybody congratulating each other and hugging each other and getting to see each other in that different environment was so uplifting together.
Oh, so that's a great memory for me personally too, Carrie. Thanks for bringing that back up. You have some personal stories too about the way that you've been involved, particularly with the MS Society. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. The MS Society is one of our charity partners, and I got involved with them early on. And there's a couple of reasons that I was drawn to the MS Society. One was, as we work with these charity partners, we have our employees talk about how they are impacted by them. And at the time, I was a young mother, and a young mother who had MS talked about how it was impacting her. And she talked about how each morning her son would come to see if she was going to be able to walk that day. And it just really struck me as a young mother about how that would impact my kids and that unpredictability of the disease. And I also learned about all the advances that were being made. And in fact, that more advances had been made in MS than any other neurological disease. And I really felt like getting more involved there, I would feel like I was really able to make an impact. And so I actually am chairing the board of the Upper Midwest MS Society today, and have really been able to see how much progress is being made and how it's improving the lives of those with MS. And so in 2023, we actually created a national team at Prime. And it's really around the idea that with so many people remote now, not working in the same building, but wanting to be able to see each other and get to know their coworkers, we could create both an environment where people could get together for local events and get to know each other locally at these events, but still be a part of a national team and feel like they were still in that same way we just talked about at that Heart Walk, really a part of this big team coming together and part of, the kind of that big team Prime, but making those local connections as well. And so that's what we've been trying to drive and bring together over the last couple of years with not just the MS Society. Actually, some of our other partners are going that way as well as we evolve as a overall kind of volunteer community. And that's been really just a great experience to get more involved with one group, but also be able to help evolve with the overall volunteer programs.
Well, you've teed up my next topic perfectly, Carrie, talking about how our community giving efforts have evolved over the past couple of years. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what you're seeing at a macro level, kind of what's happening broadly in the world, but then how we're taking that information and using it to adjust the way we think about corporate giving at Prime?
Sure. There has been a lot of change in the world overall, of course. And from a giving perspective, overall giving has actually decreased by individuals, as has volunteering as well. But on the flip side, employees, they really still want to work for organizations that do have charitable programs and are really making a positive impact in the world. And so we really have tried to adjust with what are we doing to meet those employees where they are and make sure we're making that impact. So we've been working to make sure we're providing more flexibility through our programs and really focusing on volunteering so that the employees can see the impact of what they're doing instead of just driving that donation side of things. We want them to be able to get involved and see the impact so that they want to, donate because they understand how much of an impact it's making. And we want them to see what Prime is doing so they can be proud of the organization that they are working for. And that way, as a collective, we're all, really making an impact in our communities, and we're proud of what we're doing together.
You touched a little bit on the prevalence of remote work, and we're a remote first company, and a lot of people are working at their homes. Can you share just a little bit about how we're thinking about that as we're thinking about what we're doing? And again, you've touched on some of this, but I think it's just interesting to call it out a little with a finer point.
Yeah, so we're trying to provide lots of different opportunities for employees who are working remotely, and this is evolving, as we speak. But we're providing opportunities for employees to get involved in different events where they live, and that way they can come together as a group in those kind of areas where there are multiple employees. But we're also providing ways for them to go do things on their own with their family and friends, where they can look up, what are the opportunities around here? And they can even do that during their workday using our time off. And then additionally, we are just rolling out another opportunity where they can do things at home, where they can have the materials sent to them to do a volunteer activity in their homes, and then they can go and donate things to the local community where they live. So again, trying to give that flexibility and lots of different options so that people can volunteer in the way that it works for them.
Well, that's a perfect place to end this, Carrie. Thank you so much for sharing so much about what we do here at Prime and how it works together. Thanks for your volunteerism and your service in all the ways and for helping keep this alive at Prime. And Becky, we're so glad that you could join us as well to share the impact of where some of our donations are going and the great work that you are doing at Hennepin Healthcare. We appreciate you joining us and again, appreciate all of the work that you do as well.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Wonderful.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you on another edition of Pharmacy Friends Podcast for the Power of People. Thank you. Thank you for listening to another Pharmacy Friends podcast. And you can listen to our full library of Pharmacy Friends episodes. You'll hear stories from the people who help make Prime's culture thrive by focusing on serving employees, members, and clients.